Not-So-Clammy Clam Chili. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Sydney here, and we have another tasty recipe for you today. This is another one that my mom had sent me. So every year at her work, she works at a nursing home, and they will do a cookie or a chili cook-off for the residents and for the staff and all of that. So this is a recipe that she had made. I am not a clam person. I don't like a lot of, I like a good amount of seafoods, but not stuff that's, to me, very fishy. But she has promised me that this is not a fishy recipe, so we will see. This is one that she actually said her staff didn't even think that there were clams in it. They just thought it was called that because maybe the clam juice or something. So it has clams in it, but supposedly it doesn't taste super clammy. It's got some beans, clams, we've got bacon, corn, and then a couple of other spices and things. So we're gonna get going on that. Seems like a very super simple recipe that you guys can make. So we'll try it out today. First thing we're doing is we are gonna cook our bacon. So I just have my pot. It's getting hot, it's on medium heat. And our recipe calls for like the thick cut bacon. I have already cooked some of it in the oven, but we're gonna do some of it on the stove as well. And probably should have separated that, to be honest. And this is just gonna give our pot, a little bit of flavor. So it'll help to season the rest of our ingredients. Now, if you were wanting to kind of choose a little bit healthier option, I would recommend doing that oven bacon like I suggested with the rest of this bacon. And that way you don't have the grease in here. You could just do olive oil instead, just to save a little bit of that saturated fat, go a little bit healthier. So there are ways to always make recipes healthier. So you can really make any recipe that you like, just switch up a few ingredients. So we're gonna let that cook. That's got to get nice and crispy. While that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and chop our onion. So we're using about 2 cups of onions, chopped onions here, which is usually about 1 whole onion. I love to do any type of like soup or chili, especially this time of year. February tends to be our coldest month of the year, I feel like. So even if we've had kind of an abnormal January, it's been a little warm, I'm sure that we're gonna get this cold snap coming. So definitely using soups, chilies, things like that during this time of year can help to warm you up. I also feel like a lot of those are just really like comfort food in a way. So they're just really hearty and very like savory to me. So I love to do chilies, soups, any of those this time of year. And the other great thing about our soups and chilies is that it's a really good way to sneak in some vegetables. So if you have family members that are just very picky, they don't like to eat a lot of vegetables, maybe you struggle to eat a lot of vegetables, this is a way that you can kind of hide it all in one dish, and you don't tend to notice some of those vegetables as much when they're in like soups and stews. So if you're new here, if you haven't seen the show before, this is a really simple way I always cut an onion. I know y'all, those of you who've been around for a while have seen this a lot, but I like to just go ahead and cut my onion in half. Then I take my knife and I just make some long strips here. Because your onion naturally has those ridges, I didn't get, through it. So if you cut it this long way, you want to keep that end intact, and then you start to cut it the other way, you go ahead and you have your nice chopped onion. And if I get to a point like this is a little slippery, I might just rotate it and I'll chop down. And what that does is actually makes it flat on the other side so that you have more of a sturdy spot to cut and you're less likely to slip and hit something. So I'm gonna finish cutting up this onion. We will actually see you guys back in just 1 second.
Eastern North Carolina is a beautiful place where we gladly choose to call home. And we strive to provide the best communications services. STAR is committed to improving communications to all our service areas because we want to improve the communities where we not only work, but also live. STAR Communications. We are neighbors serving neighbors.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
All right, guys, welcome back. So we have our onion done and our bacon is also done. What we're gonna do next, we're gonna add our onion to our pot along with our spices and some garlic. Our bacon, you can see it's all nice and crispy. So I was a little skeptical about putting it in a pot, but you know, there's nothing else in it other than your, we didn't even put oil in it. So it's fine. Nice and crispy. We do need 6 pieces total. This is a piece cut in half. So we'll need a little bit more bacon, which will come from the oven bacon that I cooked earlier. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So we're just gonna let that cool and set it to the side so that we can chop it up in just a little bit. We also have a little bit left of our bacon grease here. Again, you could pour this out. If you're pouring it, I recommend don't put it in your sink. The best way to do that is to pour it in a cup, or if I have a lot of paper towels in the trash can, I'll go ahead and pour it in the trash can. But you want to just make sure that it's not too hot when you do that, and then you could wipe it out with a paper towel as well. We're going to keep the bacon grease today because I really want to test out this recipe and see if I really do like it. So we're going to add this onion. We needed 2 cups. This is about 2 cups. So I'm just going to slide it on in there. When you're sliding, you always want to use the back of that knife as you are pushing it. So you want to make sure that you are not scraping the top part of your knife, the blade, so that it won't dull your knife. Okay, we also need some garlic. So whenever you're cutting, I have fresh garlic, I've already peeled it. I always like to cut off the little hard pieces at the end. And then if there's any bad pieces, this one does have like a little bad spot. That one's got one more over here. And you need 2 tablespoons, which I always say, one like traditional, normal sized piece of garlic, not a overly big or tiny one, is about a tablespoon. So we're just chopping that up kind of fine. I love garlic for any recipe. I feel like it gives it such good flavor. And to me, fresh has the most flavor that you can get. Now, if you're interested in learning how to chop yourself, use some of our knife skills, we do have lots of classes that we do here at the office. And typically, anytime we're doing hands-on workshops, whether they're Instant Pot classes, air fryer classes, any of our other just general cooking workshops, we always touch on knife skills as well. So if that is something you're interested in, and then there's something else, that interests you that we're offering here, definitely come to one of our classes because you can learn so much good stuff. But hopefully I'm helping you learn a few things today as well. All right, that looks good. We're gonna stir it up a little bit here. And then we have a couple spices that we're gonna add. So we are going to do some chili powder and some cumin. We're just doing 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Oh, kind of a big old chunk in there. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, this is a clam chili, but you don't normally think about clams being in chili, so it's a little different. But we do have a lot of those traditional flavors that you typically do find in a chili. So cumin, chili powder, those are usually a go-to for it. I don't want to say every recipe, but for most chili recipes that you find, they will have those 2 seasonings in there. All right, so this just needs to cook up for just a few more minutes. So what we'll do, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we will start working on using some of the clam stuff that we have here.
Honey, do we pay our bill?
What bill?
The Star Communications bill.
No worries, honey. With Star's paperless billing and automatic draft system, I get a notification sent right to my phone. There's no need to be bothered with those paper statements, and our bill is paid on time every month.
Well, that's easy and convenient.
It sure is, honey.
Honey,
Yes, dear.
the bake.
Oh, right.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
All right, guys, welcome back. So our onions are all done. They look good, it smells good. You can see kind of some of that spice on them, but they're nicely seasoned. What we're gonna do next is we are going to use a little bit of flour. So this is a 1/4 cup of that all-purpose flour, and this will just help to thicken our recipe. And we're taking clam juice. Never purchased this before because, like I said, I don't really eat clams, but we're gonna try it today. So we're actually using both bottles of this clam juice. This is the only kind I could find. I shop in our in Food Line here in Clinton. So you might find some other kinds if you go to some of the other stores. But you need 16 ounces total. So we're just gonna whisk that up. And then we just wanna make sure that it's all kind of mixed together really well. The thing about clams is they don't really smell overly fishy compared to a lot of other seafood that is out there. But I always tell the kids when I go teach in the schools that you really don't know until you try something. So it's always good to try things, try new recipes. I know it's kind of hard to make this something like this where you're not sure if you'll like it, with that unknown, especially with food costs these days. But if you have the opportunity to maybe bring it to a gathering, bring it where you know people really enjoy seafood, that way you can try it and you don't have to feel like you're stuck with it, eating it all by yourself. So we've got that, and then we're gonna add this to our pot. Looks good. And we're just gonna mix that around a little bit, get it to thicken up. And then what we're gonna do next is add some more of our ingredients. So we are going to be adding some frozen corn. So I have just 1 cup here of frozen corn that I'm gonna dump in. I like frozen this time of year because it's flash frozen when it's the peak of its freshness. And to me, it has better flavor than canned corn. But if that's what you've got on hand, absolutely. We actually had frozen corn here at the office. I didn't even have to purchase that. So, you know, maybe you have it available as well in your freezer. And then we're gonna add our clams. So we have 2 cans of chopped clams. And you wanna get the ones in juice, so we're adding that entire thing. And then we also have clams minced, 1 can of minced clams. So 2 cans of chopped, 1 can of minced. You can find all of that in the same section as like your canned chicken, canned tuna, things like that. All right, and then we're gonna add in our diced green chilies. So you want 8 ounces of those green chilies. And then we're also, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up because it needs to get to a boil. While that's starting to work, I will go ahead and chop up our adobo peppers in chili sauce. So these are very hot. You can just smell them and they smell hot. I always like to use a fork to get them out of there. And then what I actually like to do with these, they have really, really good flavor. I think the flavor of these just really help to season things well and just make it taste really good. But, you know, I typically don't need an entire can. We don't cook with it as much. So what I'll do is I'll take the rest of this can, throw it in a freezer bag, and I'll save it for later. So anytime I have a recipe that calls for it, I have that available right there because typically I'm not using more than 1 or 2 peppers at a time. So that just helps to add just a little bit of spice to it. It actually smells really good. It looks good, it smells really good. So we are moving right along here. So we wanna bring that to a boil and then we're gonna cook it until it thickens a little bit, which is gonna take about 10 minutes. So we're gonna take a quick little break and we will see you guys back in a few to work on our chili again.
Let's get out of here.
Protect what matters most in your life with security from Star Communications.
Just because something may work doesn't mean it's right for your business. Let Star Communications' knowledgeable consultants help you customize a hosted voice system that's right for you. Our dedicated experts work with you to understand your business needs and guide you at every step, from choosing and installing services to ongoing maintenance and support. Contact Star today.
Hey guys, welcome back. So our chili is looking good. So we had it kind of get to a boil, and then once we've got it to that boil, we've turned it down to low to medium heat, and it's simmered. You can see it's gotten a little bit thicker, and it looks really nice. So we're gonna do our last couple of ingredients. So the first thing is let's chop our bacon first. So we've got 6 pieces of bacon, and I mentioned that I did oven bacon. Now, if you have never tried to put bacon in the oven, it is a game changer. So I typically will just do it on 400 for about 15 minutes. But it ends up looking like these pieces. So you lay it flat. I always line the pan with aluminum foil, and I lay the raw bacon flat, and then I bake it. It comes out just like that. Great for sandwiches, but it's also just easy in terms of the mess. So you don't have to deal with quite as much of that greasy cleanup. It's all in your aluminum foil. And then what I like to do is just go ahead and roll up the foil and throw it in the trash. So you could actually let the grease cool, but if you're savvy enough, you can slowly roll it, and even if it's not quite hardened yet, go ahead and throw that foil away. And then your pan is already clean once you do that. So sometimes I'll have to wipe it down a little bit if I see any grease anywhere, but most of the time it is good to go. So I'm just chopping this up into, little bacon bits. And when you do the oven bacon, it's definitely a lot more crispy than when you just do it in your pan. So if you really like crispy bacon, that's a great way to ensure the whole thing gets nice and crispy. You can hear the crunch on that one. So this is about 6 slices. It did call for thick bacon. I did not use thick bacon. It also called for like your traditional bacon, and I did the low sodium just to kind of cut back a little bit. So we're gonna throw that in. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put in my beans. So we have 2 different kinds of beans here. We have kidney beans and we have Great Northern beans. And then we're adding a tablespoon of lime juice, which is just half of 1 lime. I'm gonna stir it all up in there. And you wanna just cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes after you add those. So we do still have some cream and our cilantro to add as well. And then we'll just kind of let it all heat up in there. So this is 1 cup. I just did half and half instead of heavy cream. Our recipe calls for heavy cream, but this helps to lighten it up. I went full bacon. So, I wanted that flavor of the bacon. That's where I'm getting some of that saturated fat. Instead of just doing more of that saturated fat with the heavy cream, I lightened it up a little bit. Just like I said, you can always change up your recipes to fit whatever needs you have. So opting for that lower sodium, opting for a lower fat choice, using different oils. Don't be scared to try a recipe because some of the ingredients might not be the healthiest in there. You can always switch things up, and I promise that it can still taste very, very good, very delicious, and you can make it healthier for you. So I'm actually gonna turn this up just a little, just a hair, so that it will heat up a little bit more. The next thing we're doing is adding a little bit of cilantro. So it does call for half a cup of chopped fresh cilantro. You can pick the herbs like this. This is just habit for me from back in the day when I used to have to do this all the time. But I have friends who just chop it straight from the leaves like this. So if you're a little bit, I don't want to say lazy, because I can definitely be lazy. I'm not saying they're lazy, but sometimes it's a lot of work to hand pick each little green leaf. But because cilantro is more of a delicate herb, those stems are not a huge deal if you get them in your food. They're, not really difficult to chew versus some of more your woody stemmed herbs tend to be something that would taste like a stick or a twig in your dish. Cilantro is one of those that they say that people have different preferences with it. Some people think it tastes like dish soap, which is, it's genetic. That's something that is in their taste buds. I don't mind it. It's not my favorite herb, but I think it does gives some good flavor to things that you're trying. So we need half a cup. I'm going to keep going just a little bit here. I always say that you should try something new and try different dishes. So a lot of times when we have our classes, we will try things that might be completely new to you. When I go and teach in the schools, we typically try things that are new to the kids. So I'm going to give it a go as well. But I always recommend tasting something. When you try a new recipe, maybe each week, try to make one of the recipes that you are fixing for your family include a new food or to be a fully new recipe. That way, you're kind of expanding your family's preferences or the recipes that your family enjoys, or that you enjoy. So when we try new things, it just kind of opens up our world to new foods, gives us new options for our favorite dinners you might be eating. Cilantro looks so pretty in there. So that is it. That's all that we have today. I hope that you guys try this. It looks good. It smells good. I'm going to take my mom's word for it that it tastes really good. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. We will see you back next month on At the Table. Pretty good. I don't really taste the clams. I like it. It's spicy. Is that good? It was actually really good.
Oh, yeah?
Now the chili powder is hot, or it could be the adobo. I don't taste clams at all.